Do we have any public comments? Then we'll start with review of contracts for approval.
Okay. All right, we have contracts A through E are all Learn Well, and E is Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. These are all tutorial services or educational services for students that are placed in medical facilities. F is the Bucks County Intermediate Unit, and the annual contract for the special education services provided by the IU to our students. This contract is $4.6 million estimated for next year, and that does fluctuate based on the actual services that we use. The letter G is the Montgomery County.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dodd, can I just highlight that in F, in terms of special ed total, a couple things that are impacting that cost change, if you look at the change there, a couple pieces. One, it fluctuates in terms of the students that we have in the programs. And so when I talked to Dr. Weirker with this, we do have more students next year that are on the high end of services in terms of the amount of money per child for the services they're receiving. And that comes and goes depending on the students you have in the district, so we do have a few there. There was an increase in cost at the IU, and we also have more students serviced by the IU simply because we have fewer students outside of Pennridge. And so some of this is the added cost because some of the students are staying with us instead of going to outside placements. And so the IU is providing some or all of their education depending on the child itself. So I just wanted to kind of talk to you about the three largest cost factors as to why that increase is there into next year's budget.
And when we looked at the total pupil services budget, it increased, as Dr. Weirker presented it last month, it increased about $327,000 the total budget. Where this is a $1 million increase just for the IU. So it, as Dr. Bolton, that kind of confirms what Dr. Bolton's saying. There's a shift of where we're getting the services for the students from other outside placements to the IU. So that's why it's like such a big increase. Okay, G is the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit. This is a contract we have to put in place for each year for services. And then if we do use any services from the Montgomery County IU, then we come back to the board with each individual service to be approved for a student that may need it. But at the beginning of the year, we get this in place so that we're already one step down the road if we need them for anything.
Do we end up sending a lot of kids to the Montgomery County
Nope.
unit?
No.
So it's just something like our safety precautions?
Yes, yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
And is that more if there was a student that was placed in Montgomery County and then you needed to add services in whatever that placement was, is that more what it's for, or, because I'm wondering what would Montgomery County, what kind of services would they offer at Bucks County?
That's what I'm saying, that's why I said why would we, it's just a safety net.
I have never seen it utilized in the districts that I've been involved in. Because Bucks County and Montgomery County are both pretty comprehensive IUs, I think it is best practice to have this agreement in place so that if your IU does not offer the service, although I'm not sure there are any services that Bucks could handle that for a Montgomery County student. So we could follow up with Dr. Weirker and even Dr. Kaufman to see.
Yeah, I know these guys, the Montgomery County IU jumps in for us and does some title services in some of the private schools that are in Montgomery County that would be within a 10-mile range. So some small things like that.
Sorry, I just wondered.
That's fine.
Good.
Okay. H is the Council for Southeast Pennsylvania. This is the SAP program, and the council provides training and support and consultation services and referral services for our in-house SAP team. So they are the support for that. And then our in-house SAP team uses them as a resource and to make sure that everything happens that needs to happen for the referral and SAP and so forth. And that's the same cost as the current year, which is $19,850 for that service. I and J are settlement agreements that the I is a settlement agreement that's done every summer for a student for his or her extended school year camp. And this is the long-standing agreement that we do this, and then we just approve the agreement each year for that student. And then the J is a settlement agreement that is an extension of a current settlement agreement based on the needs of the student. It was determined that the student needs to maintain the same placement and services, and doing it through extending the service agreement is the best way to do that for the student. There's no break in service, the student gets what he or she needs, and then we have the releases from normal releases in the settlement agreement. So, okay. K is crowd pleasers, which is the DJ service for the North Middle School for 6 events next school year that are planned to happen there for the kids. And that is a total of $1,450, and that's paid for by the kids through their student activity fund. L and M are the musical theater productions for next year for the middle schools. L is Central Middle School, and that is Disney Frozen Junior. And that's $685, and that is paid for through the student activity club, the music, or the drama club, or the drama club, student activity drama club. And then at North Middle School, it's James and the Giant Peach Junior. $847 cost there. The main difference in the cost is some additional materials that they're getting, so that's why there's a difference in the cost. And again, that one also is paid for through the student activity fund. Then we go to N, that is the financial services lease for the one-to-one program for next year. 675 Lenovo student laptops and a replacement and teacher replacement cycle for 116 Lenovo laptops. Annual payment is $150,686. Total payment over the 48 months is $602,746. The cost of the equipment is $599,560. So basically, the interest cost on that 4-year lease for us is just over $3,100, or just under $3,200.
Does that mean, like, if something breaks, does our people fix it, or their people fix it?
Well, it depends. We carry the protection plan. So if it's something that's covered under the protection plan, it's sent out and it's fixed. If it's something minor that our people can fix here, we fix it in-house. So
just one thing I noted, on their paperwork, there's no quantities. You had the quantities, thank you.
I do have the quantities.
Yeah, there's just no quantities identified on their paperwork.
Right.
I don't know if that's an oversight on their part, or this is just the way they do business. So, thank you for the quantities.
Sure.
That's interesting, because I saw the prices.
I think we'll actually get, once it's all in place, we actually get the detail.
You get a more formal document?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so this is, yeah, an open-ended way this is done.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Okay. And this is the same,
Yep.
this is the same company and the same master lease as last year, and the same.
And the same model,
Right.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, the data that I looked at was pretty good as far as the repair history, so they're not a bad device.
And Danielle runs a lot of that program, so she does a lot of that repair and making sure things get to the right place for repairs.
There, the line item on the Insight says Yoga ThinkPad 5th generation 11E laptops and ThinkPad times 380 laptops. Is that the correct one?
It's not a quantity.
That's
No,
a
I know.
model
That's
number.
That's what, that's,
Where, how many was it on your?
It's in Sean's super secret now.
It's on the
675.
agenda.
how many is it?
It's on the agenda.
675 student laptops
675.
and 116 teacher
Yeah, it
laptops.
is-
Okay.
There's two different models.
Okay,
It's
'cause
on
I
the
was,
agenda.
I was like,
Super
wait a
secret
second, is
agenda.
that,
So it's
oh,
just under
X380
800.
is your model number?
Yes,
and-
that's
yeah,
the teacher laptop, and then the
Okay.
675 11E is the
is
student.
the student laptop?
Yes.
And they're the same price essentially.
No, they're different boxes. It's a combined.
I'm just trying to understand their, I don't have your super secret, that's a tongue twister, I can't even do it, I don't have your notes, so,
It's on the agenda.
all right, okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
No, I'm good, I'm good. Just knowing that you're gonna get another set of paperwork
Yep, we do.
that has the detail in it. This isn't final.
Correct.
Okay.
The next item on the agenda is the annual PSBA membership renewal. The cost this year is for the all-access package, and that's what the district normally buys, is $15,840.42. In the current year, we paid $15,025. PSBA has sent a document which would be attached to your agenda, and they have listed in there the different services that our board and district have used throughout the years. If you have an interest in looking at those services that we did, that we participated in from them. And if you have any questions about anything, about what services, remember last year we brought in a young lady from PSBA, and she did a little presentation to the board, what all services were provided, and I think that was good, because I think the board actually then saw some things they wanted to use, and then
Right.
got set up for
That's right.
some
We
services.
were able to tap into some
Yep.
things.
I followed up with her 3 different times this year for things.
Did
So
you
that was
really?
very helpful. Yeah, it was.
So I feel like we're missing, because I remember we went over the breakdown of all the things that we use and the cost for all of them, and I thought it was a lot closer to what we pay when we added them all up. So are there smaller things that aren't on here that maybe we're not seeing? Because this is what, like $4,300 about in services that we're using, basically. Like if you look at the all-inclusive stuff that we would pay for, that we pay for. Because don't we get some kind of insurance through them that we would only qualify through them, and then it costs us less money than if we got the insurance without having a PSBA membership?
Our main insurance program is through Pennridge, which is the PSBA insurance program. But our vendor, or our local insurance representative prices that every year with different companies. But the program through PSBA is always the lowest cost. So yes, we do get our general liability and all those policies through that.
So I think that's what last year, I think you compiled all of those savings for us. I'm not asking you to do it again, so don't worry, I'm just saying.
Yeah, we looked at that as
When you
part of-
did, I remember us, like, it being pretty comparable as far as what we're saving versus how much the membership is from when you add up all these other benefits that we get from that, and that's what makes it cost a lot.
You were correct. Okay. Okay, item 4 is a lot of the bids from Brian's department. Carl has all of his stuff done and ready to go for the board to look at. The first one is our brake parts bid, and you can see all the different brake parts that we utilize in the shop, and then the vendors and prices. And Carl has them highlighted in yellow, which prices are and which ones that are the best. He has one in blue, which he felt did not meet the requirements, so he put that in blue, even though that's an actual tie with the lowest. But, so that's the brake parts bid. The next one is a bigger document. It has a lot of engine, transmission, and other parts on it. Again, he has it set up the same way as the vendors, and then all the prices. He has them marked in yellow, the ones that the ones that are the best price. Again, he has one on the second page in blue, which he says does not meet our bid requirements. It is the lowest one, but it doesn't meet the specifications of what we need, so we won't take that one. But this one is 8 pages worth of parts and everything for probably anything you could want to find under a school bus loader or elsewhere. So,
It's a really good visual, though, of the power of bid, right? And when
Right.
you think about if you just took one company or split it among two companies,
Mhm.
the money that you save by being able to competitively bid this is really impressive. And to have somebody looking over that list,
Right.
it's awesome.
The next one is a smaller one. It's the vehicle battery bid. Warehouse battery won all 4 of the items on this bid. I think I remember in the current year, Coopersburg had one item, 1 or 2 items, but the warehouse battery won them all this year. And the next one is the larger page is the new and recap tires. And again, he has the vendors going across the top and the tire sizes on the left side. He has new tires and recap tires, and he has the items marked in yellow that are the best prices. And these are, the nice thing about these vendors, they work with us on an estimated number of tires we may need, because, you know, we could have some tires go bad and we may need more, or we may not need too many, and they work with us.
Is this about the same number of bidders that we had last year?
Yeah, he had,
Yeah.
it might even be a little more.
I was gonna say, it looks like it's a pretty healthy
Yes.
group of bidders.
Okay, and then E is actually not Carl's, it is our paper bid for next year, and this bid is done by the IU, so we piggyback with the IU on this bid. And the items that are highlighted throughout the next few pages that you see are the papers that we actually use in the buildings. So each one of those items that you see on there is an awarded bid through the IU, but what Jackie does is she actually highlights the ones that we use in the district, and then she'll share all this information with the schools, and then they'll order from this list. So we kind of try to keep a little bit of, rein on the tape, the different kinds of paper, and try to stay with some, certain sizes and so forth. So kind of try to stay safe.
I know you're working with the IU with this. Has anybody just done we'll call it a trial run with using some recycle paper that's out there? Have we looked at that at all?
We have not.
I'm just kind of curious if you've tested it, kind of thing, because I'll tell you, we've tested it at Drager, and there's some newer ones out there, but when we tested it before, we found that it jams our copiers. We have the Biz Hubs, which, that's what it does with us. So that's been our experience. But I was just kind of curious if it was.
With our Rico machines,
It's Rico, yeah.
every once in a while we'll have the text will tell us, well, why don't you try a different paper that costs more money and it's higher quality. We kind of try to push that back and say, no, you get it fixed and work it right.
Yeah. And you got a
And
20,
not worry about the paper.
you got a 20-pound paper, that should be fine.
Exactly.
That should be 20 good enough, yeah.
Yep. So, we kind of push back on that.
Okay. Yeah, we've tried for someplace,
Scanning or printing?
it doesn't matter, you put them in there,
It
that
doesn't scan
they,
for us.
they seem to absorb humidity a little more,
That's usually what they're telling us.
Yeah.
Humidity.
I was told it depends on where you keep your paper, when you're supposed to use your paper, we just learned this. You're supposed to keep it out in the air room temperature that your machine's in before you put it in to prevent the jams.
So then the cost of storing the paper increases.
I'm just telling you,
Well,
somebody told me
It
that,
gets
they said.
crazy.
Take it or leave it, I'm just saying that when you put
Yeah.
it in, it
Yeah.
does actually make a difference in the machines that you're using.
But even
Oh,
that-
you mean the machine, oh, it
So
helps
when
the
you're the
machine.
paper, whatever paper you're using, you're supposed to bring it out into the room that you're gonna be putting the machines in.
That's
So
not
actually-
acclimated
to the.
Yes.
Really?
Called equilibrate.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Equilibrate is the
It has to-
scientific term.
Oh, really?
I
Okay.
didn't know-
It's like
Say
installing
the word
flooring,
again.
I guess, right?
Equilibrate.
E.
Q-U-I-L-B-R-A-T-E.
I just learned this past week from
That is
somebody, and a
interesting.
complete stranger told me this, and I don't know how, don't ask me how I got on the topic, but yes, so,
So
I
you
don't
have
know if that
to-
makes a difference.
So they,
You have
they
to
even
store
tell
it
us
a
to take
certain
it out of
way,
the
and then also.
Put it in the machine, let it run, and then whatever's left, take it back out of the machine.
So,
Just
It's
tell me.
paper.
Just tell me. It's scientific.
That's high maintenance paper right there.
I'm just curious. All right, sorry.
Sorry.
Moving on, Mr. Paper.
Okay, that's it for the bids for this month.
Okay.
And we will have more stuff next month. We tried to get as much into May as we could because June is such a big agenda. General fund budget review, Dr. Scheid's here this month. She's going to do her program improvement and her curriculum and instruction budget review.
Thank you, Mr. Dahlberg. I'd be happy to do that. So the first slide that you'll see from the Office of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment is a 4-year look from 2016 to 2020. We have 2 budgets in the office. The program improvement proposals that we do throughout the year, that budget, and the actual curriculum office budget. If you look down the program improvement budget, you'll see that there's some variability. In 2017-18, that $400,000 was our middle school STEM program. If you go down to 2019-20, you'll see we do have an increase this year, and it's by $92,000 approximately, 25% decrease. And I'll talk more about that on the next page, but a good deal of that is textbook replacement that we have eliminated for lack of need. I'll talk more about that. The curriculum office budget, you'll see there's variability in that, but not to a high degree. There is an increase this year by $39,000, and that is basically due to cyber programming for students and some new software programs. So if we go to the next slide, we'll take a look at program improvement. So if you take a look, and if you can read vertically 2016-17, the actuals, you'll see, I want you to take a look, if you would, $98,000 for textbook replacement. That has been something that's been a part of the curriculum office over the years. So there's been program improvement proposal monies, and then there's textbook replacement monies. Over time, over these past 4 years, we've incorporated the textbooks into the program improvement proposals. And I have watched that and worked with Mr. Dahlberg. We left it alone in 17-18, but 18-19 we started to decrease it just to make sure that we didn't need that money throughout the year. And we found that we really did not. So this year I eliminated it entirely, which is why you're seeing a decrease in the budget, if that makes sense. You do see that, the textbooks, but they're all included in program improvement proposals.
I remember we had this conversation last year about why are some coming out of some places and other places, so that makes sense.
Right, so now we just eliminated it entirely. So you'll see about a 25% decrease.
So then the math department textbooks come out of there directly.
Correct.
So,
That just makes it, go ahead, I'm
so
sorry.
I was gonna say, so for like the ebooks, is that the same thing? Were the ebooks ever considered part of the textbook replacement or no?
I don't believe, Dr. Aaron, you probably
No.
can speak to that because it's many
They
years.
were not,
ago.
because
So-
when this was started, they were really round, right?
No.
So it's been a while.
It's a little bit like things that don't include the internet as part of a policy because it
Or
wasn't
millennials.
extant when the policy was implemented. So that, they were not included in this.
So now when we introduce program improvement proposals, the textbooks will be there, and whether they're ebooks or not.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
Originally, the program improvement really was new courses, new major changes, where the textbooks were, like, we replaced all the seventh grade math books in some point, and that was, supposed to be cycled over a period of time. And it was generally around $90,000 to $100,000.
Mhm. Yes. So we've been very careful to make sure that, that we are budgeting appropriately, and we really have come to the conclusion that that can be eliminated at this point. All right? So the curriculum office budget, you'll see that that has, if you look at 2016-17, from $200,000 to this year at $206,000. There is an increase, and basically that increase this year is for cyber support, cyber learning. I will talk about what we've been doing that in this presentation, what we've been doing for our students who require cyber programming. But that's basically what it is for our cyber learning. We budgeted $55,000 last year, and we budgeted $75,000 this year from the last year's budget. It also includes additional software, ClassLink, which we talked about last night for anybody who was there. I think everybody was here for the single sign-on for the students, just using one password, and the Respondus. And we talked a little bit about that lockdown browser at the high school. So that is why there's an increase. You see the decreases, we eliminated health PE supplies. That was in my budget. It has never been used, I just eliminated that. The health and PE department budgets for their own, and we don't need it, so I just took it out. Summer school supplies has decreased this year, so we decreased by $700. We are not printing the Linkit tests because the students are taking those online, so I took that money out as well. And the $1,000 that was budgeted through my office for the Peace Center. So, I did want to take this opportunity, I hope everybody, no one minds, in the budget, just to talk a little bit about what has been happening with our cyber program. So, if you'll see the chart, in 2016-17, we were serving 14 students. We retained 13 students, and what we mean by retained is we were able to program for those students so they didn't go out to a private cyber school. That's what that means. Return means there was somebody in PA Cyber or a different cyber program, and we brought them back. So when we started, our savings was about $68,000. The next year, the total number was 30 students, and we retained 22. So you see that increase. We had a really good year last year bringing students back. This year, we are serving 33 students as of May 3rd. We retained 31, and there's a lot of work behind retaining 31 students. And what happens is we find out, the curriculum office will be notified that students, typically in the middle school and high school, families are requesting a cyber program. They're going to leave the district. We hold meetings, and Kara Gersh does a lot of this work and attends the meetings because she's able to show students and their families which courses that we can offer and so on. So if we weren't retaining those 31 students, they would be leaving, and the costs would be leaving with them. We were only able to return 2 students this year. We are holding, we hold at least 2 nights during the school year. We invite families who send their students out to cyber programs. We invite them in to learn about ours. So we have scheduled another one this year. It's in May. We've done it earlier, but scheduling has been crazy, so it'll be in May. And we're going to expand the invite. So we have a list of students and families who participate in cyber programs outside, and we send those invitations, but we are going to broaden that. Because we can offer what the cyber programs offer. We actually use some of the same programming that the cyber schools offer, and they will still be able to benefit from coming into our schools and participating in extracurricular and so on. So we explain that to parents, and we have made a little dent in the budget. This year we're about $317,000. Now, knowing that is the total cost of what we would have paid out, so we're saving that money. But I also just said that we are budgeting $75,000 for the courses that we're offering, so it's really about $240,000. But it's still a cost savings to the district. What we're most excited about is, if you can see that, under next steps, what we're trying to do, and our goal has always been, is to provide the cyber program through our own courses and our own teachers, which really doesn't cost the district anything. This year, we have 2 courses. We had an English course and a social studies course. Karen Schnurr and Jess Saylor, the 2 pioneer teachers who took on that role this year. So they had, say, 22 students who were physically in their classroom, but then we saved 3 seats in their classroom for cyber students. So they had a dual curricula, really. They had their course for the students in front of them, and then they adapted that for the cyber students who also attend their course. And those students were, some students we didn't see in it at Pennridge High School, but some students you do. They'll come into the CAP room, and Kara will work with them, or a teacher will be working with them. They're a part of the school community, because overall it's not just about saying that we're going to, keep the costs here, which is really important, but we want our students to be Pennridge students and have whatever experience that they could possibly have with their peers in a high school, in a middle school. So next year, we're looking to have 2 12th grade English semester-based courses, an American Government and Citizenship course, Algebra 2, Properties of Matter, and Psychology. So I applaud the teachers who have embraced this idea, who are working with us. It's a lot of work, but they were so apprehensive in the beginning of the year, and I know Dr. Bolden, you were there as well. So excited now. They can see the possibilities. They love working with the students. So it's been very successful, but I wanted to share that with you. So this is what's kind of going on behind the scenes.
Can I ask you a question? I don't know
Sure.
if this is completely off topic or not, but if the cyber school, what if the kids wanted to take, like, as a dual enrollment, if they wanted to take online classes, would that be the same similar thing, or no? Or is that completely different?
So that would be a different scenario. If you're dual enrollment, you could take online courses for the purpose of dual enrollment. So
Okay.
dual enrollment meaning that you're here and you want to participate in college course.
Okay.
So you can do that online. And Bucks offers that. Most universities do.
Yeah, that's what I was just wondering, because if they're wanting to do cyber, I'm just thinking online, and I'm just thinking, I don't know, but I don't know if those two are still 2 separate paths, or if they would cross or not.
So let me see so I could be a cyber student taking all my high school courses here through our cyber program. And then I also want to be dual enrolled in a college course and take that. We haven't had that. But in my logical mind, I see no reason why we wouldn't be able to do that.
Now, if a student wanted to do that and they wanted to overload their classes, they wouldn't be able to, we have a maximum credit, a maximum number of credits you can get, so how would that, I guess they couldn't take over a certain number of credits, or they wouldn't get credit for over a certain number of credits?
So currently the policy now reads that they do get credit for the courses that they take.
But isn't there a cap, like you're only allowed to take so many credits per semester?
I don't think so.
I don't
Yeah,
I thought there's a
know.
minimum on the number of credits to
But
graduate.
we haven't prohibited
Remember we were
anyone
talking
from
about
taking
how,
more.
Students who, and this was one of the things that was fixed in that whole,
Is that the
Classroom.
GPI?
strength thing.
Yeah.
But if a student wants to transfer into Pennridge
Mhm.
from a different school district, and
For-
they
okay.
wanted more credits, they would have an advantage because our kids couldn't take over a certain number of credits. And I know there was at least one student in particular that I had heard from that person's mother, that they wanted to take, there was a way they could build an extra thing into their schedule, they weren't allowed because they weren't allowed to take over a certain number of credits, even though, so she wanted to take more than she was allowed to take.
So the 2 pieces that impact that, one was the divisor.
Right.
Because the divisor benefited you if you took more credits. The more credits you took, the better your GPA was going to be. And so when you get rid of the divisor, that handled many of the
Right.
situations we're talking about in terms of extra credits. The only advantage would be is if you came in from the outside and you had additional weighted credits. If you were coming from an institution that offered more honors courses than we do, or even more AP courses in ninth grade or 10th grade. And so what the guidance counselors then do is, there is the cap that you're talking about, so that an outside student can have more weighted classes than a Pennridge student. And so that's different per grade, so that there's no advantage coming in from the outside. The extra credits don't give you the advantage if they're not weighted, because they go into your GPA just as, because the divisor isn't there, that takes care of that piece in terms of the extra. So if you're taking 10 credits from homeschooling instead of 7.5 credits here at Pennridge, that extra 2.5 can't be weighted, and so we'll show that you took them, right? But it will not benefit you if you're trying to become valedictorian,
So,
or whatever the
right, so
situation is.
this situation, the student wasn't trying to boost class rank, it was to be able to take extra courses, but be able to still get credit for them. And there was a maximum they weren't allowed to do.
I do not believe that's in place, in terms of the maximum number of credits. We have students who will take the normal load and then take
Take what,
a course in the summer or on the weekends, you know.
Well,
that-
you're
that don't
limited
do
by
those
the
types of things.
number of periods of the
Yeah,
day,
what you hear.
basically. So
Here.
Right.
getting more than a 7 or 7.5 is a tough issue, right?
But you can do them in the summer.
Well,
You
yes,
could do- right, that's-
beyond the school year, yes, but
Yes.
during the school year,
Yes.
you have to do dual enrollment or something else
Right.
to drag those in.
Do they get credit for the ones over the summer?
Yes. They do now.
Mhm.
Even,
They do now.
Mhm. That's new.
So
That's the college
kids that
dual
could do
enrollment
that.
change.
Right.
that then
Yes.
gives them extra
That's what I'm saying, I mean, we haven't had that, but.
so I just didn't know if
We
there was a
could.
cap, I thought there, I'll find out what the details. So, so when you're looking at the 2018, 2019 on this chart, so you're, it doesn't move into the other tab. Like, when you said you retained 22 students the year before, and then you had 30 that were there, you would end up with 52 students, but then someone graduates, so is that, like, I guess, when you try to look at how many cyber students you had in 2018, 2019, would you add 33, 31, and 2? Or,
There are
or
33
31 you
No,
retained,
there's 33
and those moved
total.
into the group of 33?
Correct, there are 33 total students.
Total.
Of the 33, 31 continue to be Pennridge students, which means last year
didn't
they were
leave.
Pennridge. Doesn't mean they were in cyber necessarily, because obviously they all were, because there were only 30 students last year.
Okay.
2 of them came back to Pennridge from where they were. That's the return piece. So the 31 and the 2 make up the 33.
Okay, so you're, I know that you're reaching out to parents and you're explaining to them the advantages and how our kids taking the cyber courses are more successful than students who are in those outside cyber charter programs. Do we have that in a chart that we can put on the website? Do we have some, like, do we have a comparison chart where we can just put that up and say, you know, here's the success rate of our kids compared to the other options that are out there, so people can really see the benefits of using this program, you know, using our program instead?
We do have information online on the website about our program, benefits of staying here, you know, the Pennridge diploma, being part of the school like that. The real advantage is I get to know you. It's the personal, I'm going to walk you through this. Unfortunately, a lot of students many students who participate in cyber are students who are struggling, right? They might be struggling with mental health issues. They're struggling. That's why they are choosing cyber. So the advantage with Pennridge is there's a person here, right? Who will talk to you on the phone, who will meet you in the school. Those types of things are the things that we talk about at the meeting. We also have literature that kind of spells all of that out. That's on the website. So it is available.
But isn't there data with testing that shows, you know, when you're, because they rate all of the cyber charter programs, and we, you know, couldn't we do our own chart that shows how we compare in that rating?
I don't know that our group, our number would be, we would be able to compare that. What we could say was, out of the total number of students that we are providing online services, cyber services, this is the success rate. Yes, there is information out there that tells us how successful these other programs are. And I don't know how many of you looked at, but I've looked at some and they're not very successful.
Right, and
So
that's-
in that regard, not necessarily apples to apples, we could say, well, you should take a look, and which we do say, you should take a look at the Future Ready Index that gives you that information about so-and-so, cyber. And then we will talk to you about the things that we can do to help your child be successful in such a program.
Right, but if you're telling them to go look for it, most of them aren't, and if we could give it to them if we could, put it together in a chart and show it to people, and then they see it right there, black
Like
and
an
white,
at a
I think that'd be
glance.
helpful.
I'm
Sure.
sure that would
Like
be.
an at a glance.
And then, that's something then that you can mail to those parents whose kids are in a program that, the success rate of that particular program isn't as good, and they can see, the success rate, the difference in that success rate. I think that would be helpful to do something like that.
And you can hand it
Sure.
out on your open house.
Well, we were, right, so that's on the agenda to talk about. That is definitely something that, in a room, that I feel comfortable saying, hey, you know what, I can show you this,
Yeah.
right? So if you're talking about kind of an infographic to show people in that regard, we can look at putting that together. But that is something that we were planning on talking about with parents, because this is the first year actually that we could see that through Future Ready Index. And you can see those, and you can see that really pretty quickly.
Yeah, but if I were a parent and somebody asked me to go look somewhere else, I wouldn't.
just
I
put it
understand.
in
I absolutely,
My
I
son
understand what
was
you're
in
talking
cyber.
about. I just wanted to
I
let you
still
know that that is
get
on
that.
our radar, that is
Yeah.
what we were talking
Mhm.
about, but I certainly appreciate that suggestion to have it available on
Yeah.
paper. Or a link to say, hey,
Yeah.
you can look at all of them.
Right.
Just a question about like the classes that you're offering for them. And I know you're trying to bring them into that Pennridge community, so I'm guessing like, do you, I guess, encourage them to come to like the games, the plays and all that stuff, so like you kind of, all right.
That we could try to get them in the library, we try to get them to, at least come for lunch. Maybe you take you're not a person who can get up in the morning, you stay home and you do that, and come in for lunch and take your afternoon courses with us. Every which way we can figure out how to get them with us is what we try to do.
So Dr. Shadman, you were saying that the advantage is that we have people here to help them with their classes and everything, but our cyber students can also take advantage of all the counseling services we have.
Absolutely they
Everything
can.
in our school is available to them.
Absolutely, Mrs. Cullen. They can take advantage. They are Pennridge students. We view them as Pennridge students.
And they're aware of that, I mean, like they
And we
know.
talk about that all the time, is that we want you to be here. And I will have to tell you, the relationships that the two teachers who started the blended classes this year talk about how great these kids are and how wonderful it is to be able to talk to them. Because at the beginning of the year, they never saw them. But with some encouragement, it's like, well, why don't you just come in?
Yeah.
I can meet you and let me just go over any little thing to get them to know that we care about them. And that's really the impetus for all of that, all of this, because we don't want to lose them.
So for your return students, you have a transitional kind of, so I remember my son took cyber here at Pennridge.
Mhm.
Because for some of those things that you described. And he transitioned really well, because he returned. So, but I don't remember the component that, what is it, what kind of supports do you put in place for those kids that are going from the cyber and they're doing it at home?
Okay.
And then they're coming back into the school? What are those transitional, supports that you put in place?
So we have Kara Gersh as the liaison
Okay.
between the cyber and the school of return. So let's say it's Central Middle School.
Okay.
So then when we're notified that a student is coming back, then we work with that school, scheduling with the principal, the guidance counselor, as to whoever that team is, to welcome them back, to get them started in a very positive way so that they feel welcome.
Okay.
So you think of us as the middleman, we are the liaison between the two.
Okay, so wow, I just don't remember, but I remember he did very well.
Good.
So, but there is, for the classroom element though, so they're coming from cyber school and say they don't wanna do cyber in the school, they wanna do classroom. So,
Yes.
but you're saying that some of the teachers even offer cyber in the classroom.
It was our first year of a blended model.
So there is that possible option depending on the instructor.
Well, actually, it's dependent, we have a process in place and we've had it in place for the last several years. It's a whole application process.
Okay.
You know, we absolutely designed it so that we're going to offer it where it's needed.
Okay.
Ultimately, you know, originally, and we continue to have this conversation, we do think that it benefits all high school students at one point to at least have experienced one online course, because when you go to universities, a lot of the
Yeah.
work is through Blackboard and Canvas, which is another advantage of us
Yeah.
having learning management system here,
Absolutely.
right? So we're trying to do all we can to prepare those students for that experience. So right now we have 2 and we're going to add on. So we'll
Okay.
be able to offer, you're at Pennridge, you have a Pennridge teacher, right? And you get to be part of the community, so. And there's no extra cost to the district at all at that point. So that's really what we have been working
Yes.
towards all along.
Dr. Shannon, you've turned this into a second curriculum committee.
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
No.
Apologize, everybody.
Do you want to move on with your budget slides?
That's okay.
We're talking
Wait,
about
Thank
money
you,
here.
Dr. Shannon.
Oh, okay, sorry, Dr. Darrell.
How many cyber students do we have outside our own program? Not charter students, cyber students.
Oh, not,
Well,
Charter.
the ones that are cyber charter versus brick and mortar charter, because we have both.
Yeah.
there's probably,
Total is about 150, I don't know. the
that's
But you don't
breakdown.
know
not
how
true.
they're split.
Yeah, they're
That's
about
what
40.
We looked at last month, we're down from about 180 to about 150. So, and it shows in Dr. Scheid's numbers, you know, the increases, we're bringing it back, so. But I don't know the breakdown.
The split, okay.
But I'll ask you, because we did have the information last month, so I'll look up
Yeah.
that information. You can
It's
find it
not
tonight.
that high for cyber.
So thank you. All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So this is the curriculum office budget. You'll see that I already made that comment about cyber learning. That's $75,000 that we have. And that's based on history. You know, that's how we came up with that number. Other purchase services are elementary and secondary travel. This hasn't changed. Supplies, supplies to support summer programs is 500, which is 700 less than last year. And these are the curriculum office resources. I talked a little bit about that. We've been using Linkit successfully now that we're going into our 5th year. That has remained stable. So I think originally it was 56,000, so it's actually gone down over the past couple of years. The Canvas renewal, now we have middle school, so now we're 6 to 12 there. Class Link is the single sign-on. We talked about that. OTS is our professional development online system, and that's how we keep track of. We add the courses to that system, and that's how teachers sign up for that system. And that same system speaks to PDE for Act 48 credit for teachers. The Typing Club, we use that in 6th grade computer class. Apex Learning for the 10 seats there. They are online courses that we offer. Usually we're using Apex in the summer for the summer school program.
And are we filling all 10 of those seats?
I'm sorry.
Are we filling all 10 of those seats?
We split it. We purchased 10 and the high school purchased 10. So last year we needed more, so yes, the answer is yes at this point. Respondus is the lockdown browser, so students who are taking quizzes, tests, and so forth cannot get out into, the World Wide Web. And then nothing else really has changed. SurveyMonkey, we're still using, that had a very small increase. And our workshop refreshments hasn't changed, and office supplies hasn't changed. And professional and technical services is the same for staff development as it was last year. We didn't have any increase there. And our totals, so from 2017-18, the total budget was 601. We have a $53,000 decrease from the year prior, and total, we are about 9% less than last year.
Nice work.
Thank you.
Nice work.
Thank you.
But doing more.
Yes.
Yeah, but doing
Or less. How do you not love that?
Yeah. Thank you. We're really enjoying the work.
They came up with it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, yeah, it started off with buying a lot of things, and now we're in the process of implementing all of those things. So, you know, it definitely changes the focus, you know, from actually getting all of the stuff to implementing and not overloading everybody at the same time. And I think now the shift is more the personnel, right? So the increase this year is more the personnel to help carry out those things that we're doing, so.
And how important is that, right? And I really want to thank the board for support and patience, because this has been something that we've been growing over the past, 4 years going into 5 years here. So now we're starting to see the fruits of our labor, so thank you all.
I'm not saying you should do advertisements, but I do like the idea of doing a pamphlet.
Yep, I wrote that down.
Because I don't know if you guys do the movies, but I've seen actually advertisements at like the movies, like for the previews, were actually cyber schools. Like, I don't know who's there.
Wow, that's
but
something.
I-
Radio
and-
station.
I've heard it on radio,
I'm
I've
not
never seen
saying
it in
that
movies.
Pennridge needs to put an advertisement out before a movie. But
I don't either.
It'd be a seasonal ad.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
saying though, I mean, I have actually
But-
seen local cyber schools and.
That's
and
incredible.
charter
Cyber
schools.
charter.
So you see what we're
Yeah.
up against, but I do think it's the communication piece. If you can see what we're offering here,
And that's
Right.
right at your local Regal.
And isn't it something like over 50% of our students, isn't that like a?
Right, so in the students who are currently in cyber programs, 58% of them are in cyber programs that we offer the exact same curriculum.
Yeah.
In terms of
Right,
curriculum we use for our cyber program, 58%. Because there are only about 4 big providers in the cyber game as
Yeah.
it is.
Right.
So, because one of the reasons they have the advertising budget is if a student goes to cyber charter, we do a per pupil. And so a high percentage of them are special ed. And so it can be anywhere from $15,000 to $28,000 depending on where they qualify in terms of the charges that we have for them. Well, it doesn't cost that to educate a child cyber.
Right.
Between what the course costs about $200, the laptop costs about $300.
Yeah.
You know, the internet provider's $25 a month or whatever. So they do make a lot of extra profit per student because we pay the exact same per pupil charge,
Exactly.
whether it's a brick and mortar or a cyber charter from that
Yeah.
standpoint. There is legislation working its way through the House and the Senate and the state to try to address that issue. There has been lots of conversation. Dr. Thompson and I were able to spend some time up in Harrisburg on what PSBA called Advocacy Day, where they were talking about hot button issues in education, and that was probably the number one that the representatives and the senators wanted to hear from us about in terms of what were Pennridge's experiences, what is going, because it's a lot of conversation. They were just back in session, and so there was a lot of conversation around those topics. So it's been in the newspaper recently, but I think that's part of it.
yes.
But this is the time of year they're recruiting students pretty heavily for the fall
Yeah.
and for the summer, and so there you are seeing a lot of advertising. Dr. Unell, I was able to find that there's 138 charter students, but I don't know how many are cyber, so I'll have to get that information in email too.
I think it's 40.
What was at the National School Board Conference, that one session I went to, I shared with you about how the cyber schools are doing a lot of advertising, and there was they gave us a statistic of how much money they spend. Public schools don't spend
Well, I mean,
any.
I've seen it at the movie theater.
And so it's just something to think about if you want to increase. But,
Yeah,
we're
I'm not
on the
saying,
right
I'm just saying.
trajectory.
Now we need an advertising budget.
Yes.
Good idea on
Well,
that.
that's all. That all goes with public.
Yeah.
We have an advertising budget, she said.
Yeah, we were looking right at her.
No comment. Thank you very much. All right, so then next is the general fund budget.
Okay, what you will find attached to your board docs tonight is the PD 2028. This is the state form that every school district must present its budget on
See ya.
for public display and for votes. So this is where you take all the stuff we put on like PowerPoints and turn it into this ugly document from the state of Pennsylvania. So everything that we showed you is in here. This document, once the board votes on it on Monday night, will become the proposed final budget. It then gets advertised for public display. It'll be put on our website, it'll be put down here in the lobby for anyone who wishes to see it. And it'll be available for public inspection until we vote again in June, which has to be 30 days later than the first vote in May. Okay?
Okay.
So,
Are there any, you're gonna highlight?
I'm going to highlight, we have really no changes since the last budget that you looked at last month. We have a balanced budget of $141,513,253. Revenues and expenditures match. The revenue increase is about 2.88%, and the expenditure increase is about 2.44%. There is no real estate tax increase in this budget. The millage rate will remain at 135.2555 mils. The local revenue will increase from about 103.9 million to about 106.4 million. That has to do with increases in assessed value, which is more properties coming on our rolls. It also has to do with increased earned income tax revenue, increased interest revenue. So there's a number of different local revenues that we're seeing growth in. The economy's good. Building is going on within the district, and we're showing that in our budget. State revenues is going from 32.7 million, we're just shy of 32.8 million to 34.2 million. We're still working with what we were given from the state as budgeted numbers for basic ed, special ed. So those two numbers won't be locked in place until there's a state budget put in place, but unfortunately, they don't give us the opportunity to wait until they get finished with their work. So we drudge forward and do the best we can. Federal revenues, we're remaining flat at about 825,000. That's what makes up the total $141.5 million revenue number. On the expenditure side, if you remember, $3.3 million increase in expenditures. 2.9 million of that is salaries and benefits. And the other increased area is in other purchase services, which are our tuition line items. And we saw those in the pupil service budget for those tuition line items were going up. So those are the major changes in the expenditure side. All the other categories on the expenditure side dropped or were offsets between interest and principal payments. So calendar-wise, what we're looking at is May 13th is our proposed budget vote. Then, like as I said, the budget will lay in state for 30 days. You can make changes to that budget if something happens. We will have another finance meeting on June 11th that we could discuss anything if we have to make any changes, if something happens, from the state level, or something happens here in the district that we need to react to, we have time to do that. And then the final budget adoption will be on June 17th. And at that meeting, we will adopt this document in the final version, and we will also pass resolutions to set the real estate tax and the other taxes. The homestead, farmstead exclusion this year. That number we just received in last week. Our amount of money available was up by about $90,000. We get about just under $2.5 million for that, and our number of homestead and farmsteads is up a little bit also. So and that makes sense because we're continuing to have growth in the district. But the actual amount, I think, is going from about $199 to about $202 to $204 per homestead and farmstead. So it's very similar to where it was. But we'll have that resolution for you to pass also. So that's all I have for the quick and dirty on the budget.
Quick and dirty.
Any questions, comments?
Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Love it.
Public comment?
Sue Furlong, West Rockville Township. You're talking about your cyber students, and somebody mentioned, oh, we should have an advertising budget. Well, it was just mentioned